My demo is actually quite simple, but there's a story behind it. Now, I don't know about other people, but I actually do voluntary work with some charities. In fact, my company is underwritten a charity because my brother's autistic, so we created a association to help people with disabilities, for example, like my brother. So as a result, this charity also runs on Microsoft 365 because if you use if you are a not-for-profit, then you could potentially qualify for Microsoft 365 um, in terms of using TechSoup, or in Australia we call it Connecting Up. Even if you qualify, you get some free and or very cheap Microsoft 365 licenses to apply to your organization as a way of helping not-for-profits and charities actually use secure technologies like Microsoft 365. Now, what this meant is, of course, now that means I've got multiple calendars that I have to manage in different tenants, different Microsoft 365 tenants. Now, that's all well and good, but most people love to use Outlook calendars simply because they can put on their mobile phone or they can access it in any way, and they want to be able to keep basically on top of their planning and their scheduling. And if you work for multiple companies with multiple 365, such as a charity, but you want to make sure that you're not double booking yourself, well, yes, you can juggle two different calendars and two different tenancies, but what if you could actually just use one calendar to at least see it as a planner so that you're not just double booking yourself that, oh, there's an upcoming meeting or something that I need to handle for my charity, but I don't want it to interfere with my standard workday, or at least be able to book things across them both. So I came up with this idea that maybe I should just at least keep a master calendar, and I would use my work calendar to actually be able to keep on top of both my charity work events and stuff, and also my normal work stuff. So here I have Nesta, I'm going to treat as my master calendar in this case, and I want to put events into here. So I don't have any events in here, but as a demo, we can add our standard events. But what we can actually do is we can use Power Automate to actually push calendar items from my charities calendar, which I'll just borrow Patty's calendar for this exercise. So Patty, let's say one of my charity works here is the current webinar that you're talking about, that we're presenting in. But let's just say that I would like to make sure that any new calendar events that I create here in my charity, um, a copy is created in my master calendar, so that at the very least, when I look at my calendar and I see my planning my day out, then I can see both my events from my standard work, but also actually see any upcoming and new events that I've accepted in my main calendar. Just for overview purposes, I can check on my mobile and go, oh, okay, right. So the way we can do this is actually quite simple. And to do that, you need to go to your Microsoft Power Automate. So if you go to flow.microsoft.com, it will come up and log into your Power Automate. And it's actually quite simple, and it encourages the use of templates. Now, um, when I'm using Power Automate, I actually can create things from scratch, create flows from scratch, but sometimes I actually come and make sure that there isn't something that I'm not recreating the wheel, or I can use one of these templates that Microsoft and others have contributed to create. uh, some of these templates, maybe there's a way that I can do it using a template, and that's exactly what I did here. So what I do is I actually go and search for this particular term, calendar copy. And there you go. There's a couple of results. And the first result here is create a copy of an Office 365 Outlook event. So I could actually use this template because what it actually does is, as it says there, creates a copy. But you can create it so it copies the event to another calendar. So as you follow through with this template, it's a very simple template. You just need to sign into the various calendars that you want to sign into, so the different Microsoft 365 accounts. Now you can see here, the first one will be Patty, this particular user. Now I have to create this particular Power Automate from the calendar I want to copy from. So that's why we're here. And the second calendar, as you can see, the red exclamation warning has come up. Now it's going to ask me to sign in, but I can choose to use another account. And so the account that I'm going to use is Mr. Nestor's account, which I'm going to find here. Right. Go, Mr. Nestor. And the password. So this is how you do it secure, which is what I like. And therefore, it's now connecting to both Patty's Patty's Microsoft 365 account calendar and Nestor's Microsoft 365 calendar. So all you have to do is click continue and follow what happens. So what it's done, as with most all templates, is created the various aspects of the flow or the Power Automate. So what you want to do here is you want to actually really run through all the variables that you need to worry about. The first thing you need to do is you need to check some of these additional things, because we're using a connector that we're actually choosing the right calendar to copy from. So it's asking me, which connection am I using? Well, I want to copy from Patty's calendar, and go away, little help button. And then once I've selected that, then I can choose which calendar. Now, generally you only see one calendar, but some people have multiple calendars, like holiday calendars, other calendars that they're shared with, etc. So we're just picking the standard general calendar. And from here, we just want to double check that we're using the right calendar to actually copy the event, any new event to. So we go Nestor's. And so we select the calendar, and let's show some advanced options. So here you can actually modify some of the variables, and there'll be some that are actually quite important. So for instance, what I like to do is I like to prefix the subject, for example, with, let's say it's the charity, or in this case, I'll just borrow PPCUG, the Power Platform Community User Group. I'll just prefix that in front of the subject. So when it appears in the other calendar, I'll actually be prefixed. Yes, I could use categories. Yes, I can use flags, but by actually putting the text in, when it shows up in your calendar, well, that prefix there will actually say, it's for this particular charity or what other organization. It's just easier to read along with the color coding if you use it. So the other thing that's actually quite important is the time zone of the event. So we're going to just use US Pacific, because this tenancy, both tenancies are based in US Pacific. It's something to be mindful of, because actually I've seen this particular template stop working if you don't select it. And you can adjust all of these other variables if you need, according to your requirements. So I'm just going to keep it as HTML. So I said yes. And all of these other reminders, if you want to put actual reminders in as well, so that when it gets put into the Allo calendar, you can actually put in various things like 15 minutes, recurring, all these overall. So you can actually play around with this template. But what we're going to do here is we just keep it simple. I like to keep my flows simple and can modify it afterwards, or if I want to put some extensibility, but we actually want to see this in action first. So once that's done and we put all those things in, we'll hit save and see if there's any errors. And it says, nope, your flow is ready to go. We recommend that you test it. Well, of course, we're going to test it. So there's a couple of ways you can test anything with Power Automate. You can hit the test button and it'll tell you what you need to do. So here we can say manually create a calendar item to trigger it, and then we can put the test in. So if we do that, what we actually need to do is we need to go into Patty's calendar, which is over here, and we're actually going to create a new event. So we're going to create a new event for later today. We'll just put it in for, oh, I don't know, we're going to have a meeting at 3:30. And we're just going to put in a title, which is PPCUG. Well, it's going to prefix it. So it's going to test events for CDemo. And we could put all the other details in that we wanted to. But what we're just going to do, this is a simple test. We're just going to save it. So it's put that event in there. So what should happen is, if you notice when I come back to here, the flow is running, it's tracking it, green lights everywhere. It's actually created the event in Nesta's calendar. So what we should do is we actually should check that. And there you go. This is Nesta's calendar. And as you can see, it's instantly created it. So it looks like the demo gods must have borrowed away from Andrew. It's actually worked quite smoothly. So this is at least a one-way pushing of the calendar item from calendars that you have all over the place into one master calendar. So at least you can arrange your day and keep on top of all your various different calendar items from all over the place. So there's a lot of extensibility you can add on to this, but the power here is that all we did was started with a template, and it's a very simple template that already exists, so that you can actually adopt this yourself or it's a really good way to start getting into Power Platform using Power Automate with simple templates. And it's basically like having a giant DIY kit, and all we're doing is playing around with it. And in this particular case, it's solved a major problem for me, and maybe it'll solve a major problem for you, and just trying to keep on top of your calendars. So on that note, are there any questions?
Thanks. Yeah, while we're waiting for questions, also I've just got a thought for using it. I recently wanted to set up, say, some kind of booking system, perhaps. And I know I've got about 3 different calendars where I can have things booked in. I really see this. I could pull them all together in one booking calendar, so to speak, so that the booking system can see when I'm busy, and I can see from what you were doing that I don't necessarily have to bring the subjects and stuff in. I could just call it busy time or something like that in this other calendar, just so that I didn't get overbooked through a booking system. So that I could really see that working well.
Yeah, like I said, my approach to Power Platform is, let's see how far we can push it, see what's available. Look, when I was a kid, I don't know about you, I got one of these Radio Shack or Dick Smith little kits where you connect little wires together and you see what went. I mean, they came with some recipe books or cookbooks where you could actually see what you could do with it. And wow, templates are just fantastic because it's all pre-done and you just go ahead and check it out and play with it. It's just magic, and that's what really inspires me to always see if there's a Power Platform or answer to this. And Power Automate is fantastic because you can basically pull things apart, see what happens when you put it all together again.
Thanks.
Loving the comments. Lego.
Yes, like a comment. Yeah, good comment. Checking templates. It's definitely a really good idea.